All right. Part two, water. Prepping is easy to start with, at least. Water is one of the most important ones, one of the cheapest ways to get started. We're going to go with water first because, it's water, then food, in my opinion, and I think most everybody else's. You can live on without food a lot longer than you can live without water. So let's keep it simple. We're only trying to start with a week. It won't take a whole lot of money and it won't take a whole lot of effort just to get a week. Once you get started, you'll understand that. You can start out with something like this. If you already use these kind of things, you can make it even cheaper by saving the ones that you've used and then just refilling them with tap water if you have tap water you like. And if your tap water needs to be filtered, you may have a filter on it and do that. It's a lot cheaper to refill it, put it away, than it is to go buy new ones. But if you got the money and that's what you want to do, that's not a problem. The thing is just to get started. These we use at work. They're number twos, so they're food grade. We use about 2 a week. So I started using these. They're free. All I did, rinse them out. They had hydrogen peroxide in them. And they're stackable. So you can stack a lot of them in a small area. And that's one of the ways I started. I think I've got about 50 gallons worth of water in that. If you do something like this with milk, you can save those. Clean them out when you're done. Fill them up with water. If you're looking at real long-term storage, add a drop or two of chlorine, bleach. It'll help that can last a lot longer. And if the chlorine bleach is too high when the smell is too much for you down the road, sit them in a glass, let them air out for a day. Start a day ahead of time, so let them air out. You could do something like this. There's lots of places you can get these. They're like $2 here and another $1 or so for the lid. They're also stackable, inexpensive. That's 5 gallons worth of water. Doesn't take very many of these to get a week's worth of drinking water. Now we're just talking about drinking water here. We're not worried about bathing water. There's also these little packets, come for hiking and stuff, ridiculously high. But if that's something you want to do, that's something you can do. I've also got 2 55-gallon barrels of water, which take up a lot of room, so I kind of hesitated at first, but then I found these on a real good price. So what I ended up doing was taking an old door that I had out in the shop, and I put it on top of it and made a workbench out of it. And underneath I got storage for other, mostly foods and barter items that I put in big buckets. I also use that table for dehydrating, uh, vacuum packing, Mylar bag, packing stuff in Mylar bags. So it makes a little good little work area. But here again, it's not expensive. So there's not really any reason not to do it. People procrastinate and then later on wish they didn't. We know that things happen. You've seen the news. You see that things can happen. Whatever it might be, it might. But I think a week, like I've said before, I think a week is a good starting place, and it'll get you through most things that might happen. Just a little bit at a time. If you go through a gallon of milk a day, there's you a gallon a day of water you could put away. If you have a bigger family, you go through more. It's even faster. Even if you buy like the 5-gallon bucket or something, it's still not going to be very expensive. You do one a week, one every 2 weeks. Just get started. Have that water there because it is the most important thing. Then we can look at food, and that's probably what we're going to look at on the next one. We could look at food. Maybe you've got the resources to start with food and water. Maybe you've got a lot of money. But the thing still here is learn as much as you can, put your plan together, and then start working towards it. But even with that, watch the part 2 and part 3, the water and the food. Even if you got a lot of money, you can go ahead and get some of that stuff, but be careful until you understand what you really need. So collect the information that you need, put your plan together, put a budget together for it, and then stick to it as best you can, and start. It'll be such a short amount of time, and you'll have water and food for a week, and that's the great start. There's other things that are important to have too, but water is the most important, and then we're going to go to food. So I'm just saying, get started. It's easy. Prepping is not hard, and doesn't have to be expensive, especially at the beginning. You can get very expensive later, but we'll go into some of that more expensive stuff down the road. But for now, thanks, and leave comments on the video. I love comments. If you got questions, I'll try to answer them as best I can. So we also do a podcast, and I'll put a link in the bottom. So thanks for stopping by. On to the next video here shortly.